Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, April the 21st. Pretty sunny out today. Now, some of you may have already noticed I'm in a different spot. I'm usually downstairs in front of the fireplace. I got kicked out of there today. So I'm upstairs in what we call the art room. It's where my sons used to come up here and do crafts and things like that. There's also a little bookshelf over here. There's a computer over there. But that's just what we refer to it as. This is where Jake has been doing most of his schoolwork while we are doing our remote learning. So it's a pretty decent spot. It's got a window over here, which I don't love for the backlighting. But the lighting is a little bit better than it was yesterday. So that's a good thing. So I guess this is a nice change of pace. So how was your day yesterday? Getting back to school, everybody getting started with their schoolwork again. I hope you're keeping up and doing your absolute best. You know, that's really important during this time. We're not having as much, contact with the teachers and you as a student. So it's really important that you do your absolute best, try your absolute hardest while you're at home, and make sure we stay up with all of our lessons and, have a little fun too. Don't let anybody but take a little break during the day and do something fun. Don't study the whole day. Make sure you have some fun as well. And like I always say, get outside. Breathe some nice fresh air. Stay outside for a little while. Come back in and be safe while you're doing that. Today, I chose a book that I really like. I always say that because I don't tend to choose books that I don't like. I try to pick books that I like. But this book is called Not Norman, a Goldfish Story. And it's about a little boy who has a goldfish as a pet. And he's not really happy about it. He does not love having a goldfish as a pet. He doesn't think it's a very good pet because you can't hold it, play with it, chase it around, and things like that. It's a little bit different kind of pet, and he's not quite happy with it. So the story goes from there, and we'll see if he changes his mind by the end of the book. I've had several pets in my life. My very first pet was a rabbit. I don't know why. I lived in the city. I don't even know where we got a rabbit, but when I was a really little guy, like a baby until I was like maybe 2 years old, I had a rabbit. And then after that, when I was about 4 or 5, I got a little dog named Taffy. I don't know where that name came from. My mother probably picked it. But I had her for about 12 years or so. My grandfather gave her to us. It was only my 2 brothers. I have 4 brothers, but at the time I only had 1 when we got the dog. And that was the last pet I had for quite some time. When I was in the Army, I got another dog, and his name was Magoo, and I had him for a long time. And I don't have a pet now. My sons don't have a pet right now. I have had some fish throughout my life, and I kind of like the fish. They don't need to go for a walk. They don't need, you just look at them. And I always found it kind of relaxing to watch them just kind of swim around their tank. I enjoyed having fish, but the little boy in this story does not enjoy having a goldfish as a pet. So I'm going to get started reading, and when we come back, maybe you'll let me know what kind of pets you have or have had in the past. Sit back and relax. I hope you enjoy this story, and I'll see you back here in a little bit. Not Norman, a Goldfish Story. When I got Norman, I didn't want to keep him. I wanted a different kind of pet. Not Norman. I wanted a pet who could run and catch, or one who could climb trees and chase strings. A soft, furry pet to sleep on my bed at night. Not Norman. All Norman does is swim around and 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 around. This is it, Norman. I decide. I'm trading you for a good pet. Norman doesn't move. Not even a fin twitches. How can I trade him like this? No one will want a sorry-looking fish in a gunky bowl. When I drop Norman into his nice, clean bowl, he starts dipping and flipping, flapping his fins around. He looks so goofy I have to laugh. Don't think that just because you made me laugh I'm going to keep you, I tell him. Tomorrow, you're out of here. Norman blows a stream of bubbles. The next day I take Norman to school with me. If I talk him up real good during show and tell, maybe someone will want him. On the way there, we see my friend Austin. Austin has a real cool dog and 7 puppies. Want to swap one of your puppies for Norman? I ask. Who's Norman? Asks Austin. My goldfish, I say. By the time I rescue Norman, half his water is gone. I'm sorry, I tell Norman when we get to school. I'm really sorry. He just stares at me all googly-eyed. Finally, it's my turn to show and tell. Just as I start to talk about goldfish, Emily shouts, Jenny's gone! Who let my snake loose? Does anyone hear the story of how I got Norman? Does anyone even ask to hold his bowl? No. They're all jumping and screaming and chasing the snake. Not Norman. He's looking right at me. Thanks for listening, I tell him. That afternoon, we go to my music lesson. As soon as it's over, I'm taking Norman back to the pet store. I take out my tuba and begin to play. I glance over at Norman. He's swaying back and forth. Glug, 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 he mouths. Look, Norman's singing, I say. Pay attention, snaps Maestro, and try to play the proper notes. Maestro makes me stay for extra practice. By the time my lesson is over, it's too late to go to the pet store. Don't think that just because you like my music I'm going to keep you, I tell Norman. He glugs. That night, I'm sound asleep when... Screech! Screech! What's that noise? Scratch! Screech! Screech! Yikes! There's something at the window. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spot Norman. He isn't scared. He isn't swimming around in circles either. He glugs and gives me a little wave. I'm not alone. Together, Norman and I slide open the curtains. It was just a broken tree branch. Thanks for watching out for me, Norman. On Saturday, I take Norman to the pet store, just like I said I would. I look at the cats and dogs and snakes and birds. I look at the hamsters and mice and lizards too. They all look like good pets, but they are not Norman. When I got Norman, I wasn't sure I wanted to keep him, but now, even if I could pick any pet in the whole world, I wouldn't trade him. Not Norman. Well, we're back. What did you think of Not Norman? You know, in the beginning, I was a little bit sad that he didn't enjoy his pet, and he wanted to get rid of Norman. That's not a very nice thing, to not want your pet and hope that you can trade it or bring him back to the store. But by the end of the book, things changed, didn't they? They really did. He came to love Norman, and at the end he says, I wouldn't trade Norman for any other pet in the whole world. And it's a really nice story of change, how our perspective can change about things. A lot of you, especially you little guys, but a lot of you older students too, when you first came to Richmond Avenue School, maybe in pre-K or in kindergarten, you didn't like it there. Oh, there were some students that cried a whole day, a whole week, a whole month, maybe even 3 or 4 months, almost every day. And she knows who I'm talking about. She remembers. But yeah, but as time goes on, you get used to it, and then you come to decide, I really like coming to school. It's a lot of fun. We do a lot of fun things. I'm learning new things, and I'm making friends, and I have time to play and go outside on the jungle gym, and I get to go to physical education and art class, and I get to go into the library and choose a book, and you really discover that it's a wonderful thing to do. So your perspective, or what you think about that situation, changes over time, just like in our book, Not Norman. Well, I really enjoyed getting to spend some time with you today. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me, and without a doubt, we will be back here tomorrow with another book. I hope you have a great day. Say hello to your friends and family, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.